The shuttle broke through the clouds, and Kang Tai-ho saw the academy for the first time. It floated in the black emptiness of space, a massive station of silver and blue metal. Lights blinked from thousands of windows. Ships moved around it like small fish around a whale. Tai-ho pressed his hand against the cold glass and watched in silence. He was 19 years old. He was the first human to ever attend the Galactic Union Military Academy, and he was completely alone. The other passengers on the shuttle were not human. Most of them had never seen a human before. They stared at Tai-ho with their many eyes, their scaled faces showing expressions he could not read. Some whispered to each other in languages his translator could not catch. He heard one word repeated many times: primitive. Tai-ho kept his face calm. He had expected this. Earth had only made contact with the Galactic Union 3 years ago. To the aliens who had traveled between stars for thousands of years, humans were newcomers, children, a species that had not even left its own solar system until recently. The shuttle docked with a soft bump. Tai-ho grabbed his single bag and walked toward the exit. The alien cadets pushed past him without looking. One of them, a creature covered in hard blue armor plates, bumped his shoulder hard enough to send him into the wall. It did not apologize. It did not even slow down. Tai-ho straightened his uniform and kept walking. The main hall of the academy was enormous. The ceiling was so high that clouds actually formed near the top. Cadets from dozens of species moved through the space, their voices creating a constant hum of noise. Tai-ho saw creatures with wings, creatures with tentacles, creatures that seemed to be made of living stone. All of them wore the same gray uniform that he wore, but none of them looked like him. A woman's voice cut through the noise. "Cadet come." Tai-ho turned. A human woman walked toward him. She was perhaps 30 years old, with short black hair and a serious face. She wore the uniform of an academy instructor, with 3 silver marks on her collar that showed her rank. "I am Instructor Yoon Hana," she said. "I have been assigned as your liaison officer." "Thank you, Instructor," Tai-ho said. He bowed slightly, a habit from home. Hana's expression did not change, but something in her eyes softened just a little. "Come with me. I will show you to your quarters and explain how things work here." They walked through long corridors. Alien cadets stopped talking when they passed, watching Tai-ho with open curiosity or open disgust. Hana ignored them all. "You scored very high on the entrance examinations," Ha said. "Higher than 90% of this year's cadets. But you have been assigned to Training Group 7. Tai-ho knew what that meant. Training Group 7 was the lowest group. The group for cadets who were expected to fail. "I understand," he said. Hana glanced at him. "Do you? The academy has never had a human student. There are many here who believe you do not belong. They have placed you in the lowest group, hoping you will give up and leave." "I will not give up," Tai-ho said simply. Hana studied his face for a long moment. Then she nodded once. "Good, because the next 3 years will be very difficult for you." She was right. The first week was hard. The second week was harder. By the end of the first month, Tai-ho understood exactly how much the galaxy did not want him there. In combat training, the instructors paired him with the largest aliens. They claimed it was random. It was not random. In tactical studies, his work was graded more harshly than anyone else's. In physical conditioning, he was given weights designed for species, 3 times his strength. And then there were the other cadets. They called him soft skin. They called him short life because humans only lived about 80 years, while most species lived for centuries. They called him dirt walker and gravity slave and a dozen other names that his translator turned into insults. Tai-ho endured it all. He trained harder than anyone. He studied longer than anyone. He woke up before everyone else and went to sleep after everyone else. When he was knocked down, he got back up. When he was pushed, he walked around. When he was insulted, he stayed silent. Some nights, alone in his small room, he wondered why he was doing this. He could go home. He could return to Earth and live a normal life. No one would blame him, but then he would remember why he had come. Humanity needed to prove itself. The galaxy saw humans as weak, as primitive, as not worth respecting. If Taiho failed here, it would confirm everything they believed. But if he succeeded, if one human could graduate from the academy, it would show the galaxy that humans deserved their place among the stars. So he stayed. He endured. He refused to break. Sora helped. She was another human, a medical trainee at the sister campus across the station. They had met during orientation and had become friends quickly. She was the only person in the entire academy who understood what he was going through. "The Varth are watching you," Sora told him one evening. They were sitting in a small cafe near the medical campus, one of the few places where no one bothered them. Taiho knew about the Varth. They were a powerful species, tall and covered in natural armor. Their cadets had dominated the academy rankings for decades. They were proud, aggressive, and they did not like that a human had entered their Tory. "Let them watch," Taiho said. "Taiho, I am serious." Their leader, the big one with the black plates, he's been asking questions about you. About human biology. About our weaknesses. Everyone has weaknesses. Yes, but not everyone has a group of armored aliens studying theirs. Taiho looked at his friend. He could see the worry in her eyes. "What do you want me to do, Sora? Run? Hide? They would only chase me. I want you to be careful." He smiled, but there was no happiness in it. "I am always careful." 3 days later, the Vorith found him. He was walking through an empty corridor after evening training. His muscles ached. His body was tired. He wanted nothing more than to return to his room and sleep. A shadow fell across his path. He looked up. The Vorith leader stood before him. He was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, his body covered in black armored plates that gleamed under the corridor lights. His eyes were small and red, filled with cold hatred. "Human," the Vorith said. His voice was deep and harsh, like stones grinding together. Taiho stopped. He said nothing. More Vorith appeared behind him. He heard their heavy footsteps, felt their presence at his back. He did not turn around. "You think you belong here," the leader continued. "You think you are equal to us. But you are nothing. Your species is nothing. Soft, weak, fragile." Taiho met the alien's eyes. "Is there something you want?" The Vorith smiled. It was not a friendly expression. "Yes, we want to show you the truth. We want to show you what happens when a human tries to stand among warriors." He leaned down, his face close to Taiho's. "Humans do not belong here. We will prove it." Then he walked away. His followers went with him. Taiho stood alone in the empty corridor. His heart was beating fast, but his face remained calm. He knew what was coming. He had known since he first arrived. The only question was when. The message came during dinner. Taiho's communication device buzzed, and he looked down at the screen. It was a notice from the Academy training system. Mandatory combat drill. Training Hall B7. Report immediately. Taiho frowned. He had never heard of Training Hall B7. It was not part of his regular training schedule. But mandatory meant mandatory. He could not ignore it. He left his food half-eaten and walked out of the dining hall. A few alien cadets watched him go. None of them said anything. The corridors became quieter as he moved deeper into the academy. Training Hall B7 was in an old section of the station, far from the main campus. The lights here were dimmer. The walls were older. Taiho passed no one else on his way. Something felt wrong. His instincts, The same instincts that had kept his ancestors alive on Earth for millions of years were screaming at him. But he kept walking. If this was a trap, running would only delay it. The Varth would find another time, another place. Better to face it now and know what he was dealing with. The door to Training Hall B7 was old and heavy. Taiho pushed it open and stepped inside. The hall was large and empty. Training equipment lined the walls, but it was covered in dust. No one had used this place in a long time. The lights above flickered weakly, casting strange shadows across the floor. And in the center of the room stood 12 Varth cadets. They formed a wide circle, their armored bodies blocking every exit. Their red eyes glowed in the dim light. The leader stood directly across from Taiho, his arms crossed over his massive chest. "You came," the leader said. "I was not sure you would. Perhaps humans are not complete cowards after all." Taiho looked around the room slowly. He counted the Varth. 12. All of them were larger than him. All of them were covered in natural armor that could stop a knife. All of them were trained warriors from a species that had conquered entire planets. There were no instructors here. No cameras that he could see. No witnesses. "There is no drill," Taiho said. His voice was calm. "No," the leader agreed. "There is no drill. There is only a test." "What kind of test?" The Varth spread his arms wide. "We want to know how much a human can endure. Your species is famous for being fragile. Soft skin, weak bones, short lives. We want to see for ourselves. This is against Academy rules." The leader laughed. It was a cold, ugly sound. "Rules are for equals. You are not our equal, human. You are a curiosity, a mistake. And tonight, we will correct that mistake." The circle began to close. The Varth moved slowly, their heavy feet shaking the floor with each step. They were enjoying this. They wanted Taiho to be afraid. They wanted him to beg. Taiho stood completely still. His heart was beating faster now, pumping blood through his body, preparing him for what was coming. Adrenaline began to flow through his veins. His muscles tensed. His vision sharpened. This was the human survival response. Fight or flight. For millions of years, his ancestors had faced predators larger and stronger than themselves. They had survived not because they were the biggest or the fastest, but because they refused to die. Because when death came for them, they fought back with everything they had. The Varth did not know this. They had studied human biology. They knew about the soft skin and the fragile bones. But they had not studied human history. They had not learned what humans did when they were cornered. "I will ask you once," Taiho said quietly. "Stand down. Walk away. This does not have to happen." The Varth laughed again. All 12 of them this time. The sound echoed through the empty hall. "Listen to it," one of them said. "The little creature thinks it can threaten us." "Your species survives by running," the leader said. He was very close now, close enough for Taiho to smell the alien scent of his breath. "That is what all the research says. Humans are pursued predators. You chase your prey until it falls. But you cannot run now, human. There is nowhere to go." Taiho looked up at the massive alien. Something changed in his eyes. The fear was gone. The uncertainty was gone. What remained was something older. Something that had been born in the caves and forests of Earth, forged through ice ages and wars, hardened by 1,000,000 years of survival. "You made a mistake," Taiho said. His voice was very soft now. "You studied what humans are. You never studied what humans do when they are cornered." The leader tilted his head. For the first time, there was a flicker of doubt in his red eyes. "What are you talking about?" "On Earth, there is a saying. A cornered animal is the most dangerous. We do not run when there is nowhere to run. We do not surrender when surrender means death. We fight. We fight with our hands and our teeth and our will. We fight until our enemies fall, or we do. Taiho took a slow breath. His body was ready. Every muscle was charged with energy. Every nerve was sharp and focused. You think you have trapped me, he said. But you have trapped yourselves. You are in this room with me now, and I am not going to run. The Vorath leader stared at him for a long moment. Then he smiled his cold smile again. Pretty words. But words will not save you. He raised his armored fist. Take him. The first Vorath lunged forward, his massive arms swinging toward Taiho's head. It was a powerful blow, meant to end the fight immediately. Any normal target would have stepped back, tried to dodge, tried to create distance. Taiho stepped forward. He moved inside the Vorath's reach, where his long arms could not hit with full force. His hand shot out, fingers aimed at the soft tissue around the alien's eye. The Vorath screamed and stumbled back, hands covering his face. The second attacker came from the left. Taiho dropped low, letting the blow pass over his head. His leg swept out, striking the back of the alien's knee. The joint bent the wrong way. The Vorath fell, 2 down. 10 to go. The others attacked together now, abandoning their game. They came at him from all directions, their armored fists and feet filling the air. Taiho could not block them all. He was not trying to. He let some hits land, absorbing the pain, using the impacts to fuel his movement. A blow caught his ribs. He felt something crack. He kept fighting. A kick struck his leg. The muscle screamed. He kept fighting. He was bleeding now. His face, his arms, his chest. The Vorath were hurting him badly, but they were also learning something terrible. He would not stop. Every time they knocked him down, he got back up. Every time they thought he was finished, he attacked again. He found the gaps in their armor, the soft places between the plates. He struck at eyes and throats and joints. He used every trick that humanity had learned through countless wars. The Vorath were stronger. The Vorath were tougher. But they had never faced anything like this. They had never fought something that simply refused to fall. The hall echoed with the sounds of combat. Crashes, screams, the heavy thuds of bodies hitting the floor. Minutes passed, though Taiho could not count them. Time had become meaningless. There was only the next attack, the next defense, the next moment of survival. And then the sirens began to wail. The Academy's emergency alert system had detected the disturbance. Red lights flashed along the walls. The loud sound filled the air, drowning out everything else. Taiho stood in the center of the hall, swaying on his feet. Blood ran down his face and dripped onto the floor. His body was broken in a dozen places. Every breath was agony, but he was standing. Around him, 12 Vorath lay on the ground. Some were unconscious. Some were groaning in pain. None of them were standing. The door burst open. Security officers rushed in, followed by Instructor Yun-Ha. She stopped in the doorway, her eyes wide with shock. Taiho looked at her. His vision was blurry now. The adrenaline was fading, and the pain was becoming impossible to ignore. They wanted to know, he said, his voice barely a whisper, what humans do when they are cornered. Then his legs gave out, and he fell into darkness. Instructor Yun-Ha had been a soldier before she became a teacher. She had seen battlefields. She had seen the aftermath of violence. She thought she knew what war looked like. She was wrong. The scene inside Training Hall B7 was something she would never forget. 12 Vorath cadets, each one a warrior from a species known throughout the galaxy for their strength and their armor, lay scattered across the floor. Some were unconscious. Some were curled up in pain, making sounds that did not seem possible from such large creatures. Two of them were not moving at all. And in the center of them all stood Kang Taiho. Or rather, he had been standing. By the time Hana reached him, he had already fallen. His body lay in a pool of his own blood. His uniform was torn. His face was swollen and cut. His breathing was shallow and uneven, but he was alive. "Medical team," Hana shouted. "I need a medical team here now." The security officers spread out through the hall, checking on the fallen Varth. One of them, a tall officer from a species Hana did not recognize, looked at the scene with wide eyes. What happened here? He asked. Hana knelt beside Taiho. She pressed her fingers to his neck and felt his pulse. It was weak but steady. "I do not know yet, but I intend to find out." The medical team arrived quickly. They lifted Taiho onto a floating stretcher and rushed him toward the medical wing. Hana followed, her mind racing with questions. She had seen the security alert on her communication device. Combat detected in Training Hall B7. Multiple life signs in distress. She had assumed it was a training accident, maybe a simulation gone wrong. She had not expected this. The medical wing was chaos. Doctors and nurses ran in every direction, trying to handle the sudden flood of patients. The Varth were brought in on their own stretchers, their armored bodies filling the corridors. But Hana stayed with Taiho. They took him to a private room. A doctor, a being with 4 arms and gentle eyes, began working on him immediately. Machines beeped and hummed. Lights flashed. Medical instruments moved with precise speed. "How bad is it?" Hana asked. The doctor did not look up from his work. "Bad. 3 broken ribs. Fractured arm. Internal bleeding. Severe bruising across his entire body. By all normal standards, this human should be dead." Hana felt her heart clench. "But he is not dead." "No, and that is what I do not understand." The doctor finally looked at her. "His body is already fighting. His blood is clotting faster than it should. His cells are repairing themselves. It is like his entire system is designed for this kind of damage. Humans evolved on a dangerous world," Hana said quietly. "We learned to survive." "I have read about Earth," the doctor said. "Class 12 death world. Extreme gravity. Toxic atmosphere in places. Predators everywhere. But reading about it and seeing it are different things." He shook his head. "This human should not be alive. But his body does not seem to know that." Hours passed. Taiho remained unconscious, but his condition slowly stabilized. The machine showed his heart beating stronger. His breathing became easier. The internal bleeding stopped. Hana stayed by his side. She did not know why. Perhaps because he reminded her of herself long ago. A young soldier trying to prove something to a galaxy that did not believe in her. Around midnight, Park Sora arrived. She rushed into the room, her face pale with fear. "I came as fast as I could," she said. "The news is everywhere. Everyone is talking about it. What are they saying?" Hana asked. Sor sat down heavily in a chair. "They are saying that a human attacked 12 Varth cadets. That he went crazy and started a fight. That he nearly killed them." Hana's eyes narrowed. "That is not what happened." "I know. But the Varth families are powerful. They are already demanding answers. They want Taiho expelled. Some of them are saying he should be arrested." Hana looked at Taiho's unconscious face. So peaceful now. So young. "We have security footage," she said. "The hall may be old, but the cameras still work. I made sure of it." Sora leaned forward. "What does the footage show?" "The truth." Hana stood up. "The Varth lured him there. They surrounded him. They attacked first. Everything Taiho did was in self-defense. Will that matter? To the council?" Hana did not answer. She did not know. The Academy Council was made up of representatives from many species. Most of them had never met a human before. Most of them believed the same things the Warth believed. That humans were weak. That humans were primitive. That humans did not belong here. The next morning, the council announced an emergency tribunal. All classes were suspended. All cadets were ordered to remain in their quarters. The academy had never seen anything like this before. Taiho woke up just before the tribunal was scheduled to begin. He opened his eyes slowly. The bright lights of the medical room made him squint. His body felt like it had been run over by a transport ship. Every muscle ached. Every bone hurt, Doc, but he was alive. You are awake. Sora's voice came from somewhere to his right. He turned his head and saw her sitting in a chair beside his bed. Her eyes were red from crying, but she was smiling. How long? Taiho's voice was rough and weak. Almost a full day cycle. The doctor said you should not be able to move for a week. But they also said you should be dead. So I do not think they know what they are talking about. Taiho tried to smile. It hurt. Dvoreth? All alive. Some of them will need months to recover. You broke a lot of their bones. Sora paused. How did you do it, Taiho? How did you fight 12 of them? He stared at the ceiling. How could he explain? How could he put into words something that was in his blood, in his bones, in every cell of his body? On Earth, he said slowly, there's a creature called a honey badger. It is small, maybe this long. He held up his hands, showing a length shorter than his arm. It weighs almost nothing, but it will fight anything. Lions, snakes, creatures 10 times its size. It does not care. It does not know how to quit. When it decides to fight, it fights until the fight is over. He closed his eyes. Humans are like that. We are not the strongest. We are not the toughest. But we do not quit. When we fight with everything. And we do not stop until one side cannot continue. Sora was quiet for a long moment. That sounds terrifying. It is. But it is also why we are still here. Why we survived our world. Why we made it to the stars. Taiho opened his eyes again. Dvoreth thought they were hunting a small, weak animal. They learned that small does not mean helpless. Weak does not mean beaten. The door opened. Instructor Hana walked in. Her face was serious but not unkind. The tribunal is about to begin, she said. They want you there. Can you walk? Taiho pushed himself up. Pain exploded through his body. He ignored it. I can walk. Sora helped him stand. His legs shook, but they held him. He took a breath, then another. The pain was still there, but it was distant now. Manageable. What happens at the tribunal? He asked. Hana handed him a fresh uniform. The Varth families want you expelled and arrested. They claim you used illegal combat enhancements to defeat their children. That is a lie. I know, and I have the evidence to prove it. Hana met his eyes. But evidence does not always win. The council may decide that peace with the Varth is more important than justice for one human. Taiho pulled on the uniform. Every movement hurt. Every breath was difficult. But he stood straight and tall. Then I will show them, he said, that humans do not accept injustice quietly either. Hana almost smiled. Good, because we have a lot of work to do. They walked out of the medical room together into the bright lights of the corridor. Cadets of every species lined the walls, watching in silence as the human walked past. Some of their faces showed hatred. Some showed curiosity. And some, just a few, showed something that might have been respect. Taiho kept his eyes forward. The tribunal was waiting, and he was ready to face it. The tribunal chamber was the largest room Taiho had ever seen. It was built like an ancient arena, with rows of seats rising up in circles around a central platform. Thousands of beings filled those seats. Cadets, instructors, officials, representatives from species across the galaxy. All of them had come to watch. Tae-ho stood on the central platform alone. His body still hurt from his injuries, but he refused to show it. He stood straight, his hands at his sides, his face calm. Around him, holographic screens displayed information in dozens of languages. The Academy Council sat on a raised platform above him. 12 members, each one from a different species. Their faces were hard to read. Most of them had never spoken to a human before. On the opposite side of the chamber, the Varth delegation had gathered. The injured cadets were not there, but their families were. Large, armored beings with cold eyes and colder expressions. They wanted blood. They wanted revenge. They wanted Tae-ho destroyed. The council leader, an ancient being with silver skin and 3 eyes, raised his hand for silence. The chamber fell quiet immediately. This tribunal has been called to investigate the events that occurred in Training Hall B7, the leader announced. His voice was deep and echoed through the room. The charges are serious: assault, attempted murder, use of illegal combat enhancements. He paused, his 3 eyes focusing on Tae-ho. How does the accused respond? Tae-ho took a breath. I am innocent of all charges. A wave of whispers passed through the chamber. The Varth delegation growled with anger. The council leader raised his hand again, and silence returned. We will hear evidence, the leader said. First, from the Varth families. A large Varth stood. He was older than the cadets, his armor plates darker with age. His voice boomed through the chamber. My son and his fellow cadets were attacked without warning, he declared. This human used techniques that are impossible for his species. He must have used chemical enhancements, genetic modifications, something to explain how a weak, fragile creature could defeat 12 Varth warriors. More whispers. More growls of agreement from the Varth section. We demand that this human be examined, the Varth continued. We demand that his body be scanned for illegal enhancements. And when they are found, we demand that he be expelled, arrested, and punished to the full extent of galactic law. He sat down. The Varth delegation stomped their feet in approval. The sound was like thunder. The council leader turned to Tae-ho. The accused may now speak in his defense. Tae-ho stepped forward. His voice was calm and clear. I have nothing to hide. You may scan my body. You may test my blood. You will find no enhancements, no modifications, nothing but human biology. He paused. But I ask that you also examine the evidence of what truly happened in that hall. He looked at Instructor Hana. She nodded and touched a control panel. The holographic screens around the chamber flickered, then showed a video feed. Security footage from Training Hall B-7. The chamber watched in silence as the footage played. It showed Tae-ho entering the hall alone. It showed the 12 Varth waiting for him. It showed them forming a circle around him. It showed their leader threatening him, mocking him, telling him that humans did not belong. And it showed them attacking first. The footage continued. The chamber watched as Tae-ho fought back. They saw him take blow after blow and refuse to fall. They saw him find weaknesses in the Varth armor. They saw him fight with a desperate, terrifying efficiency that made even the hardest warriors in the audience shift uncomfortably in their seats. When the footage ended, the chamber was completely silent. The council leader spoke slowly. This footage appears to show that the Varth cadets initiated the confrontation. It appears to show that the human acted in self-defense. The footage lies, the Varth father shouted. It has been altered, manipulated. This is a human trick. The footage has been verified by our security systems, Instructor Hana said. She stood near the edge of the platform, her voice strong and steady. It has not been altered in any way. It shows exactly what happened. Impossible, another Vorth growled. No human could fight like that. Their species is weak. Our scientists have studied them. They have soft skin, fragile bones. They should break easily. A new voice spoke from the audience. Perhaps I can provide some clarity. Everyone turned. An elderly alien was standing in the upper seats. He was small and thin, with gray skin and large, intelligent eyes. Taiho did not recognize his species, but his robes marked him as a scholar. I am Dr. Jiang Minho, the alien said. I am a xenobiologist. I have spent the last 30 years studying species from across the galaxy, including humans. The council leader nodded. You may speak, Doctor. The old xenobiologist made his way down to the central platform. He stood beside Taiho and looked up at the council. The Vorth are correct that humans have soft skin and fragile bones compared to many species, he began. But this is not the whole picture. In fact, it is a dangerous misunderstanding. He touched the control panel, and new images appeared on the screens. Images of Earth. Images of human history. Humans evolved on a world that we classify as a Class 12 death world. This is the highest survivable category. Their planet has extreme gravity, extreme weather, predators everywhere, poisonous plants, dangerous animals, disease, natural disasters. He paused. By all logic, humans should have gone extinct millions of years ago. They did not. Why? He let the question hang in the air. Because humans are not designed to avoid damage. They are designed to survive it. Their bodies can endure pain that would kill other species. Their bones can break and heal stronger than before. Their blood clots quickly. Their immune systems adapt to new threats. And their minds. He shook his head slowly. Their minds simply refused to give up. The screen showed images of human history. Wars, disasters, plagues, and after each one, humans rebuilding. Humans surviving. Humans continuing. We call them pursuit predators, Dr. Minho continued. On their world, they would chase their prey for hours, sometimes days, until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. They did not need to be the fastest or the strongest. They simply needed to endure longer than anything else. He turned to look at the Vorth delegation. You asked how a human could defeat 12 of your warriors. The answer is simple. You were fighting to win. He was fighting to survive. And when a human fights to survive, they do not stop. They cannot stop. It is built into their very blood. The chamber was silent. The Vorth looked uncomfortable now. Some of them would not meet the doctor's eyes. Dr. Minho faced the council. I have examined the human cadet myself. There are no enhancements, no modifications. What you saw in that footage was simply what humans are capable of when pushed to their limits. And frankly, it should terrify us all. He returned to his seat. The silence continued. The council leader conferred with the other members in quiet whispers. Minutes passed. Taiho stood still, waiting. His injuries ached, but he did not move. Finally, the leader spoke. This council has reviewed the evidence. The security footage clearly shows that the Vorth cadets initiated the confrontation. They lured Cadet Kang to an isolated location and attacked him with intent to cause serious harm. Cadet Kang's actions were self-defense. He paused, his three eyes sweeping across the chamber. All charges against Cadet Kang Taiho are dismissed. The 12 Vorth cadets involved in this incident are expelled from the academy, effective immediately. The Vorth delegation erupted in anger. Shouts and protests filled the air. But the council leader raised his hand, and his voice cut through the noise. This decision is final. The evidence is clear. Justice has been served. He looked down at Taiho. Something that might have been respect flickered in his ancient eyes. Cadet Kang, You are free to go." Taiho bowed to the council. Then he turned and walked out of the chamber. Instructor Hannah and Sora followed him. Behind them, the chamber erupted into a chaos of voices and arguments. But Taiho did not look back. He had said what needed to be said. The truth had been shown. And now the galaxy knew something new about humanity. They knew that humans did not break easily. And that was only the beginning. 6 months passed quickly. The academy had changed. Taiho had changed it. Not through words or politics, but simply by being what he was. A human who had faced impossible odds and refused to fall. After the tribunal, everything was different. Cadets who had once mocked him now stepped aside when he walked through the corridors. Instructors who had ignored him now sought his opinion. Aliens who had never spoken to a human before approached him with questions, with curiosity, with something that looked almost like fear. The story spread beyond the academy. It traveled through the station, then the sector, then the entire galactic network. The human who fought 12 Vorath alone. The human who would not stop. The human who showed the galaxy what his species could do. On Earth, the reaction was complicated. Some people called Taiho a hero. Others called him a warning. But everyone agreed on one thing. Humanity could no longer be ignored. Taiho did not care about the fame. He cared about finishing what he had started. He trained harder than ever. His body had healed, stronger than before, just as Dr. Minho had predicted. The broken bones had mended. The torn muscles had repaired themselves. He was faster now, sharper, more dangerous, but he was also wiser. The fight in Training Hall B7 had taught him something important. Strength alone was not enough. Survival was not just about fighting. It was about choosing when to fight. And choosing when to walk away. Park, Sora graduated from the medical program at the top of her class. She was offered positions at hospitals across the galaxy, but she chose to stay at the academy. Someone needed to keep an eye on Taiho, she said. Someone needed to be there when he got himself into trouble again. Instructor Hana continued to watch over him. She never said it directly, but Taiho knew she was proud. Every time he passed a test, every time he earned a commendation, he saw that small smile on her face. The smile of a teacher who knew her student would surpass her. And then, finally, it was graduation day. The ceremony was held in the Great Hall of the Academy. Thousands of cadets stood in perfect rows, their uniforms pressed and clean, their faces bright with hope. Families and friends filled the viewing galleries above. Lights sparkled like stars across the high ceiling. Taiho stood among his fellow graduates. He was no longer the only human. In the 3 years since he had arrived, 40 more humans had been admitted to the academy. Some of them stood near him now, young men and women from Earth who had followed the path he had opened. The academy commandant, a massive being with 4 arms and wise eyes, addressed the crowd. "Today, you become officers of the Galactic Union," he said. "You have proven yourselves through years of training. You have earned your place among the finest warriors in the galaxy. Go forth with honor. Go forth with courage. And remember what this academy has taught you." One by one, the graduates were called forward to receive their commissions. When Taiho's name was spoken, the hall fell silent. Every eye turned to watch as he walked to the stage. The commandant handed him his commission. Then he paused and looked down at Taiho with an expression that was hard to read. "Cadet Kang," he said quietly, so only Taiho could hear. "I was against admitting humans to this academy. I thought your species was too weak, too primitive, too young." Taiho said nothing. He waited. "I was wrong," the commandant continued. "You have shown me something I did not expect. Not just strength, not just skill, but will. The will to endure anything. The will to survive." He straightened. I look forward to seeing what humanity becomes." Taiho bowed. "Thank you, Commandant." He returned to his place among the graduates. The ceremony continued, but Taiho barely heard it. His mind was elsewhere, on the future, on what came next. After the ceremony, he was approached by representatives from military units across the galaxy. Elite forces, special operations teams, commands that had never included a human before. They all wanted him. They all made offers. Power, wealth, glory. Taiho refused them all. Instead, he accepted a different offer. A small one, quiet, almost unnoticed. He became the Academy's first human combat instructor. His first class was held in Training Hall A1, the main combat training facility. 50 cadets of various species sat before him, their eyes watching his every move. Some looked skeptical. Some looked curious. A few looked afraid. Taiho stood at the front of the room. He was wearing the uniform of an instructor now, with a single silver mark on his collar. His face was calm. His voice was steady. "Welcome to combat training," he said. "My name is Instructor Kang. I will teach you how to fight. More importantly, I will teach you how to survive." A hand rose in the back of the room. A young alien, barely old enough for the Academy, looked at Taiho with wide eyes. "Sir," the cadet asked, "what makes humans so dangerous? We have all heard the stories. We have all seen the footage. But I do not understand. You are smaller than most species, weaker. How did you defeat 12 Varth?" The room went silent. Every cadet leaned forward, waiting for the answer. Taiho considered the question for a long moment. Then he spoke. "Every species in this galaxy evolved to dominate their world. The Varth developed armor because they needed to rule their planet. Other species developed speed or strength or intelligence. They became the best at what they needed to be." He paused, looking at each cadet in turn. Humans evolved differently. We did not become the best at anything. We were not the fastest, the strongest, or the toughest. Our world was full of creatures that could kill us easily. By all logic, we should have died out long ago. He walked slowly across the room, his footsteps echoing in the silence. But we survived. We survived because we learned something that other species never needed to learn. We learned that victory is not about being the best. It is about being the last one standing. He stopped in the center of the room. When a human fights, we do not fight to win. We fight to not lose. There is a difference. Winning means defeating your enemy. Not losing means refusing to be defeated, no matter how long it takes, no matter how much it hurts. We endure. We adapt. We continue. Long after other species would have surrendered, we keep going. He looked at the young cadet who had asked the question. "You want to know what makes humans dangerous? It is simple. We do not know how to quit. Our bodies do not stop when they should. Our minds do not accept defeat. When you back us into a corner, when you think you have won, that is when we become most dangerous." He smiled, but there was something hard behind it. Something ancient and fierce. And here is the truth that the galaxy has not yet understood. You have met one human, me, but there are billions of us. Billions of people who carry that same fire in their blood. That same refusal to give up. That same will to survive. He turned to face the entire class. "I am going to teach you everything I know. Not because I want you to be like humans, but because I want you to understand us, to work with us, and perhaps to learn from us." He clasped his hands behind his back. "Now, let us begin." Outside the training hall, through the windows that looked out into space, a new ship was approaching the Academy. It was sleek and powerful, its hull marked with the flag of Earth, the UE's Persistence. The first human warship to join the Galactic Union fleet. Inside the Academy, 50 cadets began their first lesson with their human instructor, and across the galaxy, other species watched and wondered what humanity would do next. The answer was simple. What humanity had always done. They would survive. They would endure. They would continue. No matter what the universe threw at them. That was what it meant to be human. And now the galaxy knew it too.